here delivering the Career Talk with Wes show live as I do every day at noon Eastern on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. I also mean for this show to live on into the future. So if you're watching me live, that's great. But if you're now watching me later and it's later, well, I'm glad you're here. If you like, you can comment on the show or comment on the topic. I will be sharing a specific topic with you today. So I'm opening my comments section here. Wherever you are, you can comment there and I'll respond. Questions, concerns, thoughts, ideas, critiques, whatever you want to bring, open to it. The show itself is talk about career, which sounds very general, but I'll tell you that it's always on this foundation of building awareness, which is the kind of work I do as a career coach and consultant. I focus on building awareness and pretty much in all situations, it's making sure that there are levels of awareness or we're asking the questions regarding awareness of ourselves, what may be going on above the surface and beneath the surface of our consciousness, what's going on with others, what do we perceive to be going on with others, our awareness of them, our awareness of the components of the situation and the environment itself. So those I like to refer to as the chess pieces on the board. What's happening here. If I don't really have a good awareness of what is in front of me here, how can I play a good game of chess? I won't really know how to build a strategy if I can't see everything. So awareness brings change, and you cannot change what you cannot see. So that's the premise I use for the show and for my work. If you're interested in working with me as a career coach or consultant, then please contact me in whatever way that you see before you. LinkedIn is probably the best way because you can email me or you can set up an appointment for a free consultation and we could work on that. I have two more announcements for you today. One, I want to announce again that my Career Talk with Wes podcast is now live and I'm building my episodes in. I think we have 4 episodes up right now, and there'll be plenty more where that came from. So that's something I want to also be a resource like this show, a free resource to engage in these kinds of conversations or listen to these conversations because maybe they inspire ways of building awareness for you with the end game of getting somewhere in your career. Maybe it's getting somewhere in your life. But these kinds of things are the components that will allow you to open doors for yourself. So the podcast, Career Talk with Wes, is live on all your podcast platforms, all the ones I could find so far. So if you look for let me know if there's a podcast format you're listening on and I'm not on there, Career Talk isn't there, Career Talk with Wes isn't there, let me know, I'll get it there. And the other announcement is I also launched recently my website for my individual coaching. I have a company B2B website called Vertical Path Coaching and Consulting. That's my company. But I now have a website to access me directly as a coach, which tells you all that you'll need to know about my methods and how I work in detail. You can contact me there and chat or email, whatever the case may be, but you could learn about my work there if you don't learn it from the show. And it is coachingwithwes.com, simply coachingwithwes.com. So I encourage you to visit that and see if that answers any questions for you about me. And that's it for the announcement. So I have my topic for today. The topic for today is, I'm struggling to give it a name. Uh, it's about a method for you to immerse yourself in something that you're interested in. So, and the premise is, and I have a client to thank for that. I had a client this morning. If she's listening, maybe she'll figure this out. But I'll thank her in advance for inspiring today's topic. Sometimes there are things you would like to immerse yourself in, but you need some structure. You need some ways to make it happen. And what I mean by that, let's use the old example of most of us would love to exercise daily in some way. We would love to be fit and all those wonderful things we're always either told are wonderful or we know they're wonderful. The thing is doing them. So many times what we'll do is join a gym because we hope the structure itself, I paid for it, that'll make me show up. Or I hired a personal trainer, so I got a package there at the gym. And now, the personal trainer is going to wait for me in my appointment. There's a reason to be there. And so, we build these structures to help us immerse ourselves and do the work of the things that we really do want to do, but they're not necessarily easy. It's a lot easier to miss them than it is to attend them. Even if you really, really, really want to do them, that won't necessarily overcome the inertia to do something else or do nothing. So, if you have something career related, or I'll say, as many of my topics, this can be just regular life related. Um, but let's go with career related for now. If there's something you'd love to immerse yourself in, but it's the trouble is committing, the trouble is creating space, the trouble is getting some momentum going, there's trouble, you know, setting up structure and dedicating yourself to it, and getting a pattern going or a habit going. What I'd like to offer you is a simple topic that I actually wrote. You'll see this on coachingwithwes.com. I have some blogs entries that I wrote a while back, probably back in 2021, that I still kept on this new version of my website. One of them is about this. It says, I don't know if I can remember the title exactly in case you see it there. But I think I called, who learns more from a training session, the trainer or the people being trained? I think I had a nice shorter title for that. But the point is, I had discovered for myself, from my own experience, that I tend to learn quite a bit more, believe it or not, when I'm training other people on something versus when I'm in the audience being trained. Now, if I'm being trained on something I know nothing about, then yeah, I'll probably learn more by someone training me. So trainings are good. There's nothing wrong with that model. But I am saying one really effective way for you to immerse yourself in something that you want to immerse yourself in, but to form the structure and commitment and accountability that's going to help you stay immersed in it, is to be the trainer. Which for some of you may sound like, bam, yeah, of course, that's what I would do. For other people, it might be, I don't want to be the trainer. I don't want that job. I want somebody to train me. And that's fine. May not be for you. But if you do consider taking the risk involved of putting yourself forth as the lead, now you could just be the lead and accomplish this. You don't have to be the trainer. Like, imagine a book club. I don't think I've ever been a part of a book club, but my understanding is everybody agrees to be part of a group. The group agrees to read a certain book. The group agrees to meet a certain time and date and discuss the book, and sometimes drink wine. So I'm not sure how much is required other than showing up and knowing something about the book. But anyway, I don't mean to disparage that. I just thought it was funny. My point is that it could function like that, minus the wine, let's say, that you would create a group where, let's just say the topic you would love to immerse yourself in, you create a group around that topic. So you have to find a few people of same interest, at least, let's say three, could be just two actually. But you'll get together and you'll decide that you're going to um, learn together about a topic. You could take the lead by setting up the group, you know, rolling out the calendar, making sure everybody knows why you're meeting, what you're trying to do, and come up with the first topic, which is the topic you care about. Let's just say, for argument's sake, you wanted to learn more about AI, which it's kind of hard to think of any field right now that isn't affected in some way by artificial intelligence. Let's just say you wanted to immerse yourself further in AI, teach yourself some things, learn more about how it's affecting your industry or a certain area of business or your life. And so you created around that group, and just maybe you be the one who finds a topic. Okay, I found an article. Let's all read this article. Let's meet on Thursday at our regular meeting time. Let's discuss what we think is going on with this article and how what relates and so forth. Like, that's just one little way that you could do it that doesn't put you in the training role, but you take the lead to make the commitment happen. And if you do, here's just some things. If you do something like this, if you either decide, I'm going to bring the materials, learn them, immerse myself in them, take that on, that accountability, that responsibility of learning things and then teaching people in the group, or even if you decide, I'm just going to find the material, see if everyone agrees, give them the material, dole it out, give them action steps. We're all going to at least read the article, come up with 3 conclusions we have based on the article, or and maybe 3 questions as well. Um, Here's what that would do for you in terms of immersing yourself in something versus you doing it by yourself. It's going to make you committed, because in order for you to make this happen, you've got to commit to it. Nothing's going to get on the calendar, nobody's going to show up, and there's going to be nothing to talk about unless there's a commitment. So it's going to require your commitment and others, but we're talking about you. It's going to keep you accountable, because those people are going to count on you to do the job you said you would do, which is you said you would teach it, or you would train, or you would bring the topic, or you would introduce the topic, you would lead the group, like be the first one to speak and say, here's what we're doing. Um, if it will force you in a way, so I didn't really want to use that word force, it kind of does force you to gain insight, but let's put it a different way. It will inspire you to gain insight, because when you do your research part, where you read the article or the topic and you do your research, you're not only going to be digging in, which could put you to sleep, right? You could go and do some reading and just fall asleep. I know when I read, even though I love to read, it's easy. It also is a way I can fall asleep. Uh, so what gives you more oomph in doing this work is, you've got people there who are going to be counting on what you gleaned, and that might hopefully is exciting to you. That people are going to be counting on, what did you glean from that? Like, you started this whole thing, you took the lead. What's your thought on this article? That can be very inspiring for you to gain insight, to see beyond just the article, like, maybe not only what the title is suggesting, but what could be gleaned from what's been written here. What other conclusions could be formed? What other things might be implied by this article that are worth talking about the future, or about a certain industry, or about some other topic related. So this will really inspire you to gain more than just, I read it and I know what it says and I know what the article was saying. I gained insight. I'm a bit smarter today about AI because here's some insight I gleaned from that. So that's something you'd get. It provides structure, because the problem I'm really trying to address here is, if you want to do something that you actually find really interesting, important, compelling, but not interesting, important, compelling enough to create the structure yourself. Like, you find, well, I made up my mind that I'm going to create an hour every week where I immerse myself in AI and learn about it. But time comes, and oh well, this thing got in the way, and oh well, I had to run out and do that, so I couldn't get back, and blah blah blah, and then it doesn't happen. And so this gives you some structure. This will inspire you, or compel you to put time on your calendar. It says, I need to come up with that topic. I need to gain that insight. I need to be ready for that meeting we're having on Thursday, where I step up first and I say, here's the insights I gleaned from it. What did you get? Um, it also provides purpose, which is along the same lines of structure. Structure gives you a place and a time. That's extremely important, that you have a place and a time that you're going to show up to accomplish what you need to be a part of this group you created and this purpose you created. And there's purpose. It has purpose. You're going to learn. You're finally going to expand your knowledge in this area that you've been wanting to. Or you're going to learn this technique that you've been wanting to. Or you're going to immerse yourself in this new way of thinking that you've been wanting to explore. And others are counting on you. They're going to hope that you have insights. You're the only one that's going to come up with the kinds of insights you do. The specific, unique things that you might see is going to be you. So there's a lot of purpose in there that isn't there necessarily, or as blatant as when you try to do these things by yourself. So if you're very intrinsically motivated, and you're very much an introvert, and you're very self-driven, you might not need anything that I'm saying here, although it still can be a lot of fun. Um, but if you're not, if you're really a person who gets their energy from other people, from interacting with other people, which would be an extroversion, a preference for extroversion, then this is going to work very, very well for you, and probably better than anything you would do by yourself. Uh, And lastly, right along the lines of purpose is meaning. It gives meaning to the exercise. Like if you decided, well, if I sit there every Friday at noon while I'm eating my lunch, every Friday at noon, I'm going to study artificial intelligence in this area and see how the development's been going, and I'll look up some research materials, see how it relates to my business. If that was your commitment, and you were not so intrinsically motivated, but at a certain point you might say to yourself, well, what, you know, is this really making a change and making a difference? That's harder to see by yourself. If you have a group you're working with, you really get tangible results. People, you really get real world feedback. It's like either things you bring to the table or the other things people are bringing to the table either seem impactful and you witness it, or if you're bringing an insight to the group and you could tell that the other people saying, hey, that was really impactful for me. That really moved my thinking forward or opened my eyes to something. That provides meaning that's harder to get by yourself. It's much easier to have people to to uh, to actually act out the effect of that impact that you have. You can actually feel it and see it and hear it. So that's my thing for you today. That's the topic is if I still haven't decided what I'm calling this, but essentially I'm saying if you want to immerse yourself in something and you haven't been all that successful trying to do it by yourself, I want to encourage you to create a group around it and put yourself at the center, either as the trainer, the teacher, or at least the lead. At least at the very outset, you've decided to put this together. You've decided to bring everyone together, give it structure. And if that's not your forte, by the way, perhaps you gain one other partner to team up with to do this. And you take on the roles that you're good at, and they take on the roles that you're not good at and they're good at. So maybe they're better at the structure of it all and being the first person to speak, but you're better at the researching and finding, all the basis of what you'll be bringing. So, partner up in ways that make sense. But that's what I have for you today. This has been Career Talk with Wes. I am Wes Ennard. I'm glad you joined me today, whether live or on demand. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I do have a YouTube channel you can find Career Talk with Wes. I've got the new podcast, Career Talk with Wes, on all platforms. I've got coachingwithwes.com, so you can check out my coaching and consulting services. And that's all we have for today. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.